She's having a really hard time walking, so it's really, like, I don't want her to have that life with EDS. I don't want her to have that. We got a drink. Can you open that for her? And a schnitzel platter with chips to share. You like that? It's pretty nice in here. They actually changed the dining room, Rafael.
Yummy.
She has a hard time walking long distances. She falls a lot. She started crying. Wrong way. Almost started crying in the parking lot because Abigail fell 4 times. 4 times, like less than a block away. And she was falling all through the store. She was having a really hard time walking. So it's really, like, I don't want her to have that life with EDS. I don't want her to have that. I really don't. I hope that she just has a coordination issue and that she will get over it, but it's likely. But there's the exit, and here's our car. Exit car. She fell 4 times in between there, and like even had a hard time getting up. So she is my only child that has ever had problems like that. Like you'll see her fall repeatedly just walking. She falls over just standing. I mean, we didn't think anything of it until we went to the ear doctor. And the ear doctor's like, she falls all the time? I said, yeah, she falls pretty much all the time. Like, all day long she's falling. She's like, oh, well, she's a little too old to be falling all the time. And she's like, you need to get that checked out. And then I was like, wait a minute. Because I had that issue as a child, too. And I have EDS. I didn't know I had EDS. I had a suspicion I had EDS for the past year or 2 because some people have shared with me. Specifically a woman named Bev, who actually really, really helped me out and helped me, like, push me to go get tested for it. I didn't actually get tested for it because they have no idea what it is, but when we went to the genetic doctor tested me for it, and I do have it. So there needs to be a little bit more awareness of what it is in Israel, because several doctors don't know what it is, and even if you show them on like Wikipedia or a Google search, they still don't know what it is. So a little bit more research needs to be done. A little. It's not as rare as we once thought it was. A lot of people have it. So it's not, I will admit that I did go into a little bit of like, oh, why me? I didn't know that I wasn't normal. I always knew something was off, but I thought that everybody else had it too. I was like, I can't be the only one that cringes when people do that thing with their body like that, because their joints will come out if they do that. But yeah, not everybody feels that way, and it was hard for me to, even though I knew I probably had it, it was hard for me to come to terms with it that I had it. And it was unfair, because all these times throughout my whole entire life, all these times, certain things happen to me. My arm pops out. Just doing normal stuff. My knee pops out. My hip popped out in there. You know, so I did go through a little bit of something when I found out that I did for sure have it. I went through a little bit of something. I grieved a little bit because I wasn't normal my whole life. And you know, you have these instances that come up. Oh yeah, that EDS, that. So there was a little bit of that. Anyway, gonna go home. There's some helicopter activity. We have a helicopter base near our house for the Army. So we do hear them quite a bit. I forget the name. I forget the name of it. It starts with an H, I believe. Anyway, Hatsarim, I think. We're leaving now. The kids enjoyed their dinner. And now I have hiccups. Yay! You want to know another cool thing about weight loss? My butt is losing volume, so I can't see over the steering wheel now.
About take the first exit.
Hold on, I'm getting flashbacks. Hi guys, so today, this evening, Hadar's coming home. He got off of work, but he actually has to go back. It's either a morale night, they do it like once a month now, or it's a, like a work night where they're doing night flights. So Hadar wanted to go with me to this appointment. I have to go to the doctor. We're going to discuss my lab work and results. 1 second. And we're going to see if I can get my iron levels up. But also, I'm going to be tested for EDS. That's Ehlers Danlos Syndrome. I have had these symptoms my entire life. They have gotten worse since I was pregnant with Zeb, and they never went away. So I'm going to get tested for EDS and for POTS. Now the reason I'm going to get tested for that is basically because of Abigail. She is showing some signs that she has exactly what I have had my entire life. I talked to my mom about it and she's like, yeah, you've had this your entire life. I do believe that my grandmother died from it. I believe that she possibly had a heart condition from EDS, the vascular type. She walked out to the field and died at 40 years old. So that's a little scary. I have had my heart checked because I had to have surgery several years ago. They checked my heart, they did a sonogram on my heart, and they did a 24-hour study on my heart, just to make sure that I was okay for surgery because I'm a big girl. So I have had that kind of testing, and I would hope that if there was a problem that they would see it. So hypermobility. I don't know if you can see it. Here. Mean mugging. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, I have two things. I have back issues that I've had all my life. I have lordosis, which means I have a sway back. It goes in, it's painful, it feels like my back is breaking. The chiropractor said that you can't fix that. That's gonna stay that way. I was like, oh, can I just wear a brace? Like, did you hear it crack? Can I just wear a brace and it'll go away? No, can't fix it. So I have that, but I also have, and you can't probably tell because I'm very fat, but this is like how normal people stand with their knees, but mine go all the way back, and if I walk like that, it throws my knees out when I like sit down. It throws my knees out when I sleep. It throws my knees out. My shoulders go out constantly. This is something that I live with, so I don't talk about it too much unless it's like in the moment and it's hurting me. But I have lived with this pain my entire life, so I'm used to it, and I've never really taken anything for it except for a couple of times maybe, but I've never really taken anything for it. I throw my elbows out all the time. My rotator cuff it's been out for years. I can lift it up. This is extremely painful right now to lift it up here, and if I were to like reach back like that's murder right now. If I were to like reach back, like that's as far as I can go. But I also have it in my, and let me show you my thumb. Let's see if I can do it while holding the camera this way. My thumb can go pretty much all the way back. Can you even see that? Okay, that way. But that's not the criterion. The criterion is to have it go back all the way that way. And as you can see, I'm touching my arm on my forearm, or my finger on my forearm. So I'm extremely flexible. Okay, so you're only, like for a person my age, you're only supposed to have like a Brighton score of like 5. I have like 9. So I have everything. I can touch the floor. I can touch my hands to the floor. I've always been super hyper mobile. When I got in a fight with my cousin one time, I like swung my lunchbox at him and my arm popped out of socket when I was at the bus stop. He called me fatty, okay? So when he called me fatty, and for my mom to know, it was Jeremy because he always called me fatty. Anyway, so, and my arm was like hanging and dangling and it hurt so bad, but it was also numb at the same time and I couldn't feel anything. But it hurt right here at the joint, and that was right before school. So I had to go to school like that. But I've learned to live with that pain. However, I don't want my daughter to live with that. Rafael has had a few occasions where I thought maybe his joints were loose. Abigail's definitely loose. She's had sonogram on her hips because of the looseness, and she's also had a sonogram on her heart because she had a hole in her heart. It wasn't a typical hole in your heart. It's something else that is not as like serious, but she has had some issues with her heart. Okay, so I'm going to get checked, and if I have something, then I'm going to get these 2 kids checked. And I don't ever remember Zeb having any issues with like hypermobility, and I don't think his knees are like mine or his elbows are like mine or his fingers are like mine. I really don't think so, but yeah, it's time to get it checked. It can also have an effect. I probably talked about this several times because I say, oh, I stood up and I got sick and I have to lean on something or I'll get sick, or I have to move my legs. Like when I sit in line, you'll see me. If you see me at the store, I'm doing this. I'm rocking. I'm rocking. I'm rocking. Why? Because I will get sick if I don't. So I'm like, if I'm standing, I have to either be leaning against the counter like this, and it makes me look lazy, but it's either I do that or I get really sick. And how I get sick is like I get flush, I get lightheaded, I get pukey, I get nauseous. It's a anxiety feeling too. So when that happens, the only thing that I can do for it is to lay down. And if I lay down for like 10 to 30 minutes, it'll go away completely. And then I'll be able to go about my day, you know, it's whatever. This is like 20 years in the making that I've needed to go to the doctor for this, and I didn't know. Like, Zeb went to therapy with a boy that had Ehlers Danlos, so I have known about this for many years. I was like, oh yeah, you know, I was talking to his mother. Oh yeah, my joints go out of place all the time, but it's nothing like your son, you know, because she made it sound like it was like the worst thing ever, and it is. But when you're so used to that, you're like, oh well, mine's not that bad. It is though. If you're dislocating and subluxating all day every day, then it is a problem. Also, some of my other symptoms that I have had 15 years now, maybe even the phantom smells could be related to this, because it does cause brain fog, I have learned. I have speech issues. I've talked about that a couple of times. Hadar can tell you about that. It affects your life. So if I don't have this, like, I've never been more sure of anything ever. I've never been tested for anything, but I have never been more sure that I have this condition. So what really prompted, I was like, okay, whatever, you can't do anything for it anyway, so I'm not going to get tested for it. I'll just, you know, whatever. But since Abigail has been showing some signs of it, and she has had her stuff pop out of joint, I'm like, okay, this, I have to find out. So that's what we're doing today. So my appointment's not today. That's probably about the third time you failed on that.
Well, you're the one that's getting the stuff and appointments in your email. So.
I told you I didn't get one.
Mama was very excited.
Yeah. Now I'm not excited.
You're not. You aren't subscribed yet?
Please subscribe and like.
Comment and share. FoolyLiving.
We're gonna go to IKEA. We're gonna get some ideas for our kitchen in whatever we live in the States. We need some help. A smart idea, space saving, put our computers back.